Well, the meetings have commenced with the GMs in Arizona, and Dana Brown has mentioned a name that has not been mentioned before. Is the person we're going to talk about today, Ray Montgomery, spelled doom for Joe Espada coaching position with the Houston Astros? We'll talk about this and a few other things on this edition of Locked On Astros.
Welcome to Locked On Astros, your daily Astros podcast. Here are your hosts, Eric the Man Huysman and Brett H-Town Wheelhouse Chancey.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome into another edition of Locked On Astros. I'm H-Town Wheelhouse with Locked On Astros. You can find me at X, Instagram, and TikTok at H-Town Wheelhouse. You can find me at Stros411 on X, Instagram, Facebook, and wherever you get your podcast. You can find me on TikTok as well. And so just check us out. Check out Locked On Astros. We're your team every day. Check us out on Google, Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcast. Free and easy to listen to. Download it. Listen to us on the way to work, on the way home from work, and make sure that you make us your first listen every single day. We got the contest going on for the Morgan Ensberg autograph ball. Also be announcing tonight. I'm going to roll this out probably towards the end of the week, but I'm giving away two Yordan Alvarez Funko Pops. This is the first ever Funko Pop, the Yordan Alvarez that they put out. I ordered one for myself and I ordered two to give away. So those will go out to two lucky winners. And we've got some other things, the Astros cards that I've mentioned before. And so let's get started. Look, this manager search, this news about Craig Counsell getting the $8 million is quite shocking. I know Eric spoke about it on last night's show. Thank Eric for picking up the slack for me last night. Eric is a little under the weather today, so hopefully he can make it back tomorrow. If not, I will pinch hit for him. That's why we make such a good team. But you guys help us because you make us the most listened and downloaded Astros podcast here on the planet. So thank y'all so much for that. This episode today is brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel is America's #1 sports book, and it's the NFL season. Make sure you get squared away with them when you bet. When new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's a $150. If your team wins, visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started today. So let's talk about this fella that was mentioned, Ray Montgomery. Ray Montgomery is a name that, for me, I don't know for you, for me, came out of nowhere. It just seemed like, what's going on? Who is Ray Montgomery? Honestly, I had to look him up. I didn't know his resume until recently. I know Jeremy Booth tweeted out something about him, and Booth does a pretty good job. Not pretty good. I mean, he knows and understands the scouting aspects of baseball, and so whenever he comes and says, "Hey, this would probably be a good hire," he knows what he's talking about with stuff like this. He is heavily involved in prospects and baseball, so he probably talks to a lot of scouts. He probably knows a lot of scouts himself. And we'll talk about that. We'll talk about Chandler Rome, quoting Brown and some things that Brown said. But let's just start off with this before we get into Ray Montgomery. There is no timeline for the managerial searches, but interviews have started. Dana Brown said at the winter meetings, at the meetings with the other GMs, Joe Espada is the lone internal candidate. There's nobody else. There's not Jeff Bagwell. There's not Lopez. Anybody. He is the lone internal guy. The team is open to adding a starter. We don't know what that means. Crane last year said they needed pitching. They didn't get pitching help really the way they said they were going to go after him. And outfield help is not a priority. And I'll talk about that later on because there's an outfielder or two that I would like for them to go after. I don't think it's likely. One of them's less likely than the other, but there's a name a friend of mine, Corbin, brought up to me, and I'll share that with y'all later on in the show. What is up? Yes, I am Red Brick Coach tonight. We're in the Red Brick. I figured we would go with a throwback today because Ray Montgomery, wow, Ray Montgomery actually played with the Houston Astros, and we'll look into his resume a little bit. He is a candidate to watch according to Jon Morosi of MLB Network. Dana Brown told me, this is him, not H-Town Wheelhouse. He told Jon Morosi that he's a big fan of Montgomery. He is a contemporary of Brown and Jeff Bagwell of the Northeast baseball circles in the late 1980s. So he comes highly touted. Now, another thing he says, we are not in a rush for this. He says we are going to take our time. There really is no time frame. I'm looking for someone with some leadership ability and someone who can run the club. I did shorten that quote a little bit to fit it on the screen, but that's the gist of what he said. So that's a paraphrasing. There's a few words I missed in there, but he's looking for leadership. He's looking for someone who can run a clubhouse. He's looking for someone who has a great feel for players and managing players. And so this guy has been the bench coach for the Angels the last 2 seasons. Again, it's a name that I really didn't see coming. He's not someone that has ever been mentioned up until this point. So I guess you can call him a dark horse candidate. But when you look at his resume and you look at what he has done, oh my gosh, this guy's got quite a resume. Okay. After his playing career, he spent 4 years as an area scout for the Brewers, during which time Milwaukee selected second baseman Ricky Weeks out of South Texas, Louisiana territory. He was the Brewers Midwest supervisor 2 years and their assistant scouting director and national supervisor the next 2 years. In 2009, Montgomery turned down an offer to become the scouting director for the Padres because he had just moved to Connecticut and did not want to relocate. Jeremy Booth from KHOU Channel 11 says, the speculation of Montgomery, let's look at his resume, a former Astro major leaguer that's now done almost everything, or most everything. Scout, cross-checker, scouting director, VP of player personnel, bench coach, former teammates with Biggio and Bagwell, and former Houston resident for 13 years. When you put it that way, when you put this guy into context of what they're looking for, maybe this guy does make sense. At the end of the day, the Astros obviously don't ask for my opinion. They don't ask for your opinion. They make very educated guesses. I've seen all kinds of suggestions saying that Jim Crane is becoming Jerry Jones, that Jim Crane is cheap, that Jim Crane is doing this all wrong, that, this whole Bagwell thing is coming to bite him in the butt from last year. Brent Strom is not going to be the manager here. Let me just dispel that desire in y'all's heart right now. Although y'all want Brent Strom to be a manager, I don't think it's a bad choice. He literally went to Arizona because he moved there for family, to be with family. He is not moving back to Houston to become a manager. That would be defeat the whole purpose of him moving to Arizona. So he is not going to do that. We're going to need a new bench coach if Espada becomes the manager. Yes, if Espada does become the manager, maybe they get Ray Montgomery. Maybe they just promote Lopez, because Omar Lopez, I've chronicled his experience with the club. He was a Houston Astros player development coach of the year with the Houston Astros within the organization. I say stay in house. Someone said, how about the former Rays, the current Rays bench coach, Rodney Linares? That could be someone that we look at. He does have Astros ties. Kevin Cash could look. It says Kevin Cash could get a look with no GM right now. No, I don't want Kevin Cash. Kevin Cash pulled Blake Snell in a World Series game where they probably could have won that World Series had he not pulled him, but I digress. But we're going to next talk about this starting pitching help and possibly why or why not we are not looking for an outfielder right now. But first, FanDuel is the number one sports book in America, and I want to tell you about them because the NFL season is right now. It's hitting. We are halfway through. CJ Stroud just had an amazing game, a record-breaking rookie game. But what is cool is new customers to FanDuel will get $150 in bonus bets when you bet $5 on the money line of your favorite team. So whether you're going for the Texans versus the Bengals or heck, the Thursday night football game, check this out. The Panthers face the Chicago Bears. That's right. The frozen tundra of Carolina. The money line has a plus 160 for the Panthers and a minus 190 for the Bears, meaning that the Panthers are the underdogs. If that is your team and you bet $5 and you win, then guess what? You get $150 in bonus bets. And don't forget our main man, CJ Stroud, on the props bets you can go along with because it's not just money line bets. There's so much more. The app is so easy to use. You get spreads, player props, over-unders, and so much more. So take my advice and visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and keep the NFL season rolling like a CJ Stroud come from behind victory and a charge to a possible playoff berth. That's right, FanDuel, the official partner of the NFL. Thank you all for listening to Locked On Astros. I'm H-Town Wheelhouse. I'm here. You can find the show at Locked On Astros. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Make sure you share with your friends that you are an everydayer and make us your first listen every single day. So we've talked about Montgomery. We've talked about why it probably makes sense that they're going for someone like this. But make no bones about it, Brown is not in any rush. He said that there's a lot that I'm looking for. I mean, he's got to know the game. He's got to be able to run a bullpen. And most of all, he's got to have leadership skills. I'm looking for someone who I can gel with and communicate with as well. Brown is very high on Ray Montgomery. Brown, who was hired from Atlanta, may also give a look at Walt Weiss. We haven't heard anything official on that, but maybe he is one of the strong candidates. Who knows? But here's the thing. Brown was pushing for Espada a couple days ago. Then Jim Crane came out and said, I want a bigger name than Espada. Now Brown is saying, Ray Montgomery's this guy. You're hearing Ray Montgomery. How much of this is like real good information and how much of this is smoke? How much of this is throwing a curveball and how much of it is actual talk? Joe Madden, someone suggests, absolutely. I would be 100% against that. I do not want Joe Madden. I think he's done. I don't need a retread. Personally, I don't want Joe Madden. I don't want Buck Showalter. Ron Washington isn't a terrible hire. We need some young blood in this clubhouse. We need someone who's relatively young, who maybe has experience, maybe doesn't. I just don't know why you're going away from Joe Espada. He has been loyal to you. He has stayed around. He has not left you. He's here. He deserves it. Yes, Mike, he is younger than Dusty. I think a lot of people are younger than Dusty. That is a good point. I'm just saying I want someone a little bit younger. That's preferably me. And look, Powered by Plant says someone who speaks Spanish. Yeah, but you can't make that a requirement to say they have to, because they don't tell players they have to be able to speak English if they're Spanish speakers. You can't limit the job to that. Now, it helps. The fact that Dusty Baker could speak Spanish pretty well helped a lot. The fact that Alex Bregman went out on his own when he got on this team to learn Spanish to communicate with the players better, that always helps. And with this team being a very heavily fortified team with a lot of Latin American players, yeah, it would be a huge advantage for the coach to do that. But when you don't have that, that's why you have interpreters. That's why you have people on staff to help you do that as well. If Espada doesn't get the job, he will leave for greener pastures. Yeah, that's right, James. Look, here's the deal. Here's what's before us. If Espada doesn't get the job, I think he's gone. I don't think he stays around another year to be the bench coach. And if a new manager comes in and Joe Espada leaves, then I think that opens up the door, if the new manager doesn't bring in someone with them, to put Omar Lopez as the bench coach. I would not mind that situation. I think we would then need a new first base coach. We need a new third base coach, and so on and so forth. So we've got some other things to talk about. Now, on another note, Dana Brown said that new assistant general manager Gavin Dickey will oversee the Astros player development. Brown said that it was important for him to put someone in charge with a player evaluation background. Dickey worked at the Astros scouting department for 12 years. So you love to see that. You love to hear that. And you really hope that these things come to fruition. Now, going after a starting pitcher. Going after a starting pitcher is interesting. And I don't know if I believe it. Last year, they told me they were going to be going for a pitcher, and they really didn't. But if you're looking at starting pitchers and you think that they're going to go after someone who's going to garner a large salary, it's probably not going to happen. You're going to need to look for a budget arm, someone who does not cost that much. I mean, right now, here are the people that are free agents and available: Aaron Nola, Lucas Giolito, Luis Severino, Jordan Montgomery, Yu Darvish, Jack Flaherty, Max Scherzer, opt-outs. That was with the Mets. Okay, Scherzer's probably staying in Texas. They just won the World Series. But you have a lot of big names out there. Blake Snell, you have Urias, you have who I wouldn't want. You have Tyler Mahle, you have Frankie Montes, would not want. Noah Syndergaard, pass. Jordan Montgomery, yes, go ahead and bring him over. Like, forget the Rangers, just bring Jordan Montgomery to the Astros, but we won't spend the money. Sonny Gray, not a bad name. Mike Michaelis, I don't know. Clayton Kershaw, no, can't pitch in the playoffs. And he's a Dodger, sorry. James Paxton, no. Big Maple Leaf, I don't need him. Ryu, Kenta Maeda, no. Jack Flaherty, maybe, I don't know. And so those are the names, injury wild cards. Let's just see. So look, here's the deal. No, not Bauer. Too much baggage. Too much stuff going on there. That would be a PR nightmare, I think. I know Bauer. I know everybody's like innocent until proven guilty. There's conflicting reports. But upon the initial just news and fallout from that and what happened to him and what's gone on, I think Trevor Bauer would be an absolutely terrible, would be like the worst hire they've made since Roberto Osuna. I wouldn't touch that with a 10-foot pole. Not this club. I mean, for obviously less reasons and just being tied to the cheating scandal. That's why you're not going to see AJ Hinch come back. And so it's just one of those things where you've got to be sensible. If you're going to get a Snell, if you're going to get a Montgomery, if you're going to get someone, I mean, Lucas Giolito may be a budget arm. Wade Miley, I don't know, man. I love Wade Miley when he was good, but gosh, when he falls off, he falls off. And so starting pitching, are they going to go after him? Okay, that's great. That's cool to say that, but are they really going to? I just don't know that they will. But there is a portion of this team that, look, I do want to talk about outfield real quick. One person we could possibly trade for that is underrated and someone who's coming available who really isn't as expensive as we would think coming up next. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in to Locked On Astros. This is H-Town Wheelhouse with Locked On Astros. You can find me on X, Instagram, and TikTok. You can find me at Stros411 on X, Instagram, and Facebook. Always positive, always Stros. Find the show at YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. Heck, we even have a Discord we don't hardly ever use. We're on bunches. We're everywhere. We're on so many places that we just got to do a better job keeping up with those things. But seriously, follow us on Twitter, follow us on Instagram, tweet at us, talk to us. And remember, that I'm rolling out another giveaway here in a couple days. 2 Yordan Alvarez Funko Pops. This is the first edition. They just came in the mail. They got here. They're in perfect condition. I've got little boxes they came in to keep them protected in the mail that come to you. And we will be announcing those giveaways here in a couple days. And I will announce probably tomorrow night the winner of the Morgan Innsburg baseball. It will be completely randomized. There'll be no favorites. There will be no like, well, I've met this person. This person's listened this amount of time. It's just going to be a randomized thing where I'm going to pull names out of a hat, and voila, there we go. So starters, I just don't see it happening. Look, there's a player that I would like for the Houston Astros to go after. And tell me what you guys think about this. And this was an idea brought to me by a friend, and I liked. Now, looking at his stats overall, they're not the best, but defensively, it would not be a bad play. What about a right fielder and center fielder in Mike Yastrzemski? Now, he is under contract, and that would require a trade with the San Francisco Giants. But if we are going to go budget, or we are going to go someone who's not as expensive, why not go after someone like a Mike Yastrzemski? That might be a play that we look into. Okay. That's someone that, I know they said they're not going after outfield, but look, I'm always willing to look at things a little bit differently than other people. I like to think outside the box. And there's an outfielder out there that I think the Astros should explore. Why won't we go after Jung-Ho Lee from Korea? This kid coming in 2017 into the league at 18 years old in Korea. He has a career stat line of 340, 407, and 491. He's never hit below 318, which he hit last year because of injuries. But this kid last full season in 2022 hit 25 tanks, 13 triples, and has a great contact bat. He is estimated to get 5 years, $50 million. That's not bad. Stick him out in left field. He's a center fielder. He's got a great arm, and he's got a great bat. He's got a great glove, and he's not that expensive. Why would we not go after someone from the market overseas, try to reach the Korean fans? I mean, we've got a lot of Korean people here in Houston. We've got a large Asian community. That would be huge for this club. I mean, obviously, the king of all baseball right now, free agents, is Shohei Ohtani, but we know the Astros aren't spending $500+ million on him. But 340 for an average, I mean, that's crazy. He's a good contact hitter. He can generate power. He can slap the ball to left field. He's a left-handed bat. I mean, look, why not do that? It would. I'm with you, Brett. That would be crazy. I mean, I would love it, and I'm not saying that they definitely will do something like that. But why not go get outfield help? Why not go get somebody who is going to add value to the team at the plate and with the glove? And I know I mentioned that, and someone said, well, Chaz is my center fielder. Nothing against Chaz, but this guy's a much better defensive center fielder. And I don't know, man. Like, I want a guy with an arm. We're going to need more. Well, of course we're going to need more translators. I mean, that's not a problem. These are multi-billion-dollar clubs. They can afford it, dude. That's not a big deal. He brings a guy with them. It's worked out fine for Ohtani, and he's about to win another. He's about to win MVP. Oh, let me ask you this. Did you see the 3 MVP candidates for the American League? And someone tell me how Marcus Semien made that list. What in the world is going on? I get Corey Seager. I get Shohei Ohtani. But Marcus Semien? And I know Yordan Alvarez, I didn't look at his WAR. I know he played fewer games, but he's got a better WRC plus. He's got just as many home runs. I mean, heck, Kyle Tucker has a better WRC plus and everything than Semien. Like, what the heck? How is Semien a top 3 candidate for MVP. That makes no sense. And then I don't know, I was shocked to see Marcus Semien in there as the 3rd MVP candidate. I don't have a problem with Seager. Look, I love Ohtani, but Seager had a year. I mean, that dude deserves something because he had a banner season for the Texas Rangers, unfortunately. Much to our demise. That dude crushed it. Oh, why don't we go after Mitch Garver? I know he's backup catcher. They're looking for a backup catcher. Grab that Rangers intel. I absolutely love that. Look, I'm not saying Chaz. Look, no, dude, I respect Chaz. I think next year, if you don't change this roster any, you don't get in the outfielders, he is your starting center fielder. And he should be. He was a top 10 center fielder this year. I'm just grasping at straws here. This is the off season. If I've got to only talk about what we have in front of us, then I'm going to run out of stuff to talk about. I think it is worth just talking about and having the discussion. Mitch Garver would love that pickup from the Rangers. Get that intel. Oh, gosh, that would be valuable. Can you imagine them getting Jordan Montgomery and Mitch Garver from the Rangers? Oh, that would be mind-blowingly insane. And the one thing I can't have happen, and we need to all pray about this, okay? We need to pray that Ohtani doesn't go to Arlington. God, if Ohtani goes to Arlington, I'm not going to hear the end of it. If Ohtani goes to Arlington, I am absolutely not going to hear the end of it from Rangers fans, and I don't like that result. It doesn't play in the Astros' favor. But these are all things we're going to speculate all off season long. So Ray Montgomery, let's just recap. Ray Montgomery is a candidate that has jumped into the pool, even though Dana Brown said he wanted Spada, and now we know Crane says he wants a bigger name. They say they want to go after a starting pitcher. I'll believe it when I see it. And the Astros are not looking for outfielder help, but hey, I gave you 2 outfield options anyways. Well, hey, that's all I got tonight for this edition of Locked on Astros. Thank y'all for hanging out and tuning in with me with a solo edition. You guys and girls are always awesome as y'all come in and take part and give your comments, add your amazing opinions, because y'all are the best. Y'all are the best, and we thank y'all so much. Y'all make us the #1 most downloaded Astros podcast on the planet. Y'all are the real MVPs. I just want you guys to know that we are here for you every single day, no matter what. Get in the contest if you haven't on YouTube. Go check it out. Tell us where you're from. Tell us how long you've been listening. Get your name in that for the Morgan Ensberg Ball. Be watching for the Yordan Alvarez Funko Pop giveaways. 2 of them. Double-decker. All right, y'all have a good one. And have a good evening. And as always, bury me in the H. Go Astros.